podcast, we will be talking about your girlfriend's best friend, her guy best friend, right? Um, Now, I've always preached that uh, men and women can't genuinely be best friends. Um, and the reasons why it's obvious, right? Usually, when a guy wants to be friends with a girl, usually he gets put into the friend zone, right? And initially, he wanted to talk to her because he had a crush on her. Or he was attracted to her. So what happened was he got put into the friend zone. He got put into the friend zone for a reason because she wasn't interested. He didn't game her properly, or she could have got back with her ex. There are a lot of different reasons why uh, guys get put into the friend zone, right? Versus when a guy does put a girl into the friend zone, a lot of times he still fucks her, but he just never wipes her. And she can be a genuine friend. Um, but usually, when your girl has a guy best friend, he usually has ulterior motives. And the ulterior motive is, you know, wanting to have sex with her or wanting to be in a relationship with her. And usually these guys, that it's the sucker way out. It's the sucker way out because they try to wait a long time and thinking that them being there for her, them agreeing with everything that she says, them showing beta and simp energy is going to get him into her pants. Now, uh, the success rate is maybe 1%, maybe because some guys do get successful like that, but it all depends on the girl. So it's not the one of the best things to do. And usually you'll see when a girl has a guy best friend, and this is a rookie move, right? um, he'll try to sabotage the relationship. He'll try to sabotage that shit. And she will tell you straight up that this guy really, every time she comes to him for advice, he's telling her, "Oh, you should leave him. He's no good. Wow, he's an asshole. I can't believe he did that." And a lot of the guys, they fuck up where they'll say, "Yeah, leave this guy. Leave him alone. He's no good for you," and trying to sabotage the relationship. But he didn't even do anything wrong. So a lot of guys show their card a lot of the times where when they shouldn't be. And and it's just for so many reasons why uh, you know she shouldn't have a guy as a best friend. And honestly, I don't even believe in having females as friends. Now, if I do have a female as a friend, it's obviously, like I said, for ulterior motives. Now, it's not necessarily to have sex with her, right? Maybe it could be for competition anxiety, right? Or it could be for maybe she has some type of benefit to me as far as business goes. Maybe she could have some type of benefit to me as far as she has some type of knowledge or some type of specialty in a certain type of field and where I can benefit from, right? So usually if I have a female friend, I have an ulterior motive. But usually guys, when they have female friends, they have an ulterior motive, and that ulterior motive is usually to have sex with her. Right now, there are exceptional, like I said, there's always an exceptional situations to everything. There could be a 0.1% of men who genuinely um, can be friends with a girl, right? There was one female in my entire life who I was friends with, and that was Naomi, right? If you guys are familiar with my videos, what did I say that Naomi told me in ninth grade, right? She's the one who told me in ninth grade, you treat a girl like dirt and she sticks like mud. So that was the only girl that I ever had as a best friend, and I never did anything sexual with her. But she ended up becoming Muslim, right? Now, I was born Muslim. I was always Muslim. I always had my religion. But we connected on a deeper level, and so that's usually what happens. But when you don't, right? And my mom would always tell me that she had a crush on me. So you will find situations where you can be friend with a girl and she'll have a crush on you. But usually, when it's your girlfriend's friend and it's a guy, usually he has ulterior motive. So it's not the best to just be light on that stuff, and it's not the best to be just like lackadaisical on it, because you have different type of guys, right? What if I was your girl's best friend? Well, I teach guys how to get out of the friend zone, right? And I always say to guys, Girls with boyfriends are the easiest girls to game. Why? Because most guys do not have game on that level, right? Most guys believe in happy wife, happy life. Most guys pander to their girl. Most guys cater to their girl, right? And with that type of game, they're usually easy to steal, especially if you can convey that you're higher value than her man is. It's a wrap. Especially if you have the game to go with it. Now you have three different type of guys that can be her best friend, right? You have the rookies, the guys who are just her best friend and trying to be there with a complete simp energy, right? Who have a very low success rate, right? And then you have the intermediate. You have the intermediate guys who may you know may be familiar with girls, or she may like him, but he's being a little too nice to her because he's putting her on a pedestal. He may have some game. He might be even a little attractive, but his game is just subpar, or it sucks, or he has really bad game, right? The intermediate guys, right? Who she probably would go for, but she just sees her boyfriend or sees you as a higher value than her so-called best friend. And then you have the professionals, or the experts, right? The PUA coaches, the dating coaches, somebody like myself, somebody who's teaching guys how to get out of the friend zone, somebody, or even somebody who's learning from me or someone else how to get out of the friend zone. Those guys are dangerous, and they're rare, because I would say only maybe 10, and this is a generous number. I would say only 10% of guys are gonna have this type of game, or is aware of this type of realm of relationships exist, right? So although it'll be very, very small, a very, very small community of men, the guys who are considered the quote unquote professionals who can game your girl, you need to watch out for them, right? If he's implementing all these techniques that I got on Patreon, like NLP, showing you got options, polarizing their relationship, which you don't do, right? All of these, if he's doing all these things, and next to your girlfriend's a little more distant, he's being patient, he's spending that time with her, doing all the things that you don't do, and conveying to her that he's higher value than you are, not just when it comes to money, but as far as options, as far as his behavior, as far as handling her disrespectful behavior, especially if he's checking her, like, hey, don't disrespect me like that. Girls might say, oh, I'm misogynist, but that shit turns them on. And especially if you're not checking her. If he just understands relationship dynamics better, that guy who's considered the professional, the expert, that's a fucking problem. That is a real problem. And that is a real problem for you, because although you might not encounter it, you encounter one of my guys on Patreon that's getting this fucking this teaching and learning, and you don't know how to handle it. Oh, it's a fucking wrap. It is a wrap. It is a wrap, because women can be swayed. Women can be swayed. Women can be convinced, especially if you can gauge their emotions. And I always say, listen, you can't change a girl's mind, but you can change her emotions. So if you know how to gauge her emotions to change her mind, oh, it's a fucking wrap. It is a wrap, especially if her man doesn't know how to do that. So if you have one of these kind of guys that is your girl's best friend, oh, listen, give it some time. She's gonna be stepping. She's gonna be stepping on you. She's gonna be stepping. She's gonna be out of that relationship. So it's something that, and this is super important. It's something that you guys should learn, and it's very detrimental. It's very detrimental to your relationship. And I always say that, listen, you guys need to learn this shit. Like, even in Islam, I know that if you're going by like Islamic law, a guy isn't even allowed to talk to another man's wife in Islam. You're not even allowed to talk to another man's wife, under Islamic law. And why do you think that is? That's for a reason. That's for a reason. You think that motherfuckers, they do that in Islamic countries where they're fucking not allowed to talk to him. You need to ask a man permission to talk to his wife. So that whole best friend shit is out the fucking door. that shit is out the door. But you understand why they do things like that. Once you understand female nature, and you understand hypergamy, and you understand that women have this hypergamous nature where they're going to go for the best viable option. They're going to go for that high value man, right? So when you understand that, and then you understand how how that works, you understand it's a little scary. And then you'll understand that you need to learn this shit. And I'll tell you this right now. Females a high quality female, usually she's has a level of intelligence, has ethics and morals, and she doesn't usually do the guy best friend when she's in a relationship, a high quality female, because she's intelligent enough to know that, listen, guys and girls truly can't be best friends, and they usually have an ulterior motive. And if she does have a guy friend, she keeps him at a distance, and it's like not on a need to know basis. It's they talk here and there, right? Because usually when you're gaming your girl right, when you're conveying high value, when you're on your purpose, and you're doing everything that I tell you guys to do, you stay on the front of her mind. So if you're staying on the front of her mind, you have to game her right. But usually when you're gaming her right, the whole guy best friend shit, she's not going for that. She's not going for that. The women that are high quality that I date, and they usually get rid of their best friends, they don't have guy friends, and they do that willingly. I don't force them to do anything, but I know how to implement anxiety, and I know how to gain them to stay on the front of their mind, where I consume their thoughts. Because when you consume her thoughts and you know how to gauge her emotions, she doesn't want to fuck with no other guy. She doesn't want to do that. How can she want to really entertain another guy when you're on the front of her mind all the time? I'm telling you. Now, there are a few different ways for you to get rid of her guy best friend. Now, this is free sauce. Now, this will not be on on YouTube. This will definitely be on Patreon. So if you're listening and you're hearing it, pay attention, because you're never going to see this again if you're not on Patreon. Now, one of the easiest ways to set him up so you can get rid of her guy best friend is to be obvious about it, right? And you have to slowly, you want to plant a seed, be like, yo, that dude likes you. And be like, no, he doesn't. Da, 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 da. And she'll argue with it, but you don't want to just make a comment and don't argue with her about it. Just make a comment. And then, a few weeks later, make another. Yeah, he still likes you, bro. Why is he always texting you so much? Right? You slowly want to build up. You want to build up to it. And then one day, what you do is you say, you know what? You love me? And even if you want to, you don't even have to do that, but you can do it just to, get her to put her up to it. And you can say, listen, I know for a fact that he wants more than just a friendship with you. Right? And when you say that, she'd be like, how do you know? Let's test him. More than likely, she'll go for it, because she'll be so confident, especially if she's naive and she knows that, he doesn't, and she doesn't think that he really doesn't like her. You say, all right, you call him up and you say, you know what? Tell him you broke up with me, and tell him that you want to come over and you want to hang out with him and you want to have sex or something like that, or something to that effect. 98% of guys fail this test. Even if a guy says that he's not interested in her, and he said, but if she throws it at him, he'll take it, which most guys will. Most guys are not going to turn down sex unless they have a level of religiosity, or they just genuinely loyal to their girl, or they just have too much going on. Right? Because if a girl that I was friends with, most girls that I'm friends with, they trying to throw it at me anyway. So, but if I had a girl that I was friends with, and she just was like, hey, I wanna hang out with you, I wanna have sex, that would seem a little off to me, because it's very random. Girls usually don't do things like that. And just me just being like a cerebral type and thinking, I would say no. I would say no, because when you turn down a girl, it usually makes her want you more. But most guys are going to fail that test. So when he says, okay, cool, I'm going to come through, that's it right now. Relationship ruined on so many levels when he fails that test. Why? Because one, that's proven to you, her boyfriend, that, all right, that just goes to show you. See, I told you he wanted you. I told you he wanted to have sex with you, and he just proved it. Now, one, Two, if she genuinely didn't believe that he wanted to have sex with her, she's going to be shocked, right? She's going to be shocked and she's going to be, oh, she's like, you know what? Let me just speak to you later, right? She's going to hang up the phone. And third, that's going to make things awkward between them two. So you just basically kind of ruin their relationship, because the simple fact that she was completely naive to her being to him being her best friend, and her not thinking that he wanted to have sex. So when you do that, you're ruining their relationship. You're ruining their relationship. And now she's like, oh my God, it's going to be awkward between them two. So once it's awkward between them two, it's like, all right, well, and then on top of that, after she just proved you right, now she has to get rid of him as a best friend, because it's a direct threat to their relationship. And now it's a problem, because it's a conflict of interest. It's a conflict of interest if he likes her romantically, and she has a boyfriend. So that's the first way of getting rid of her. Now, the second way is a little more of a tactic, but basically what you have to do is mirror her energy. And you mirror her energy times two. Now, if you do listen to my podcast, you'll see that this is something that I implement a lot. I say I give it to the basics. For the basics, I say to mirror her energy. So basically, for example, I know a lot of guys have girls who go out every night, or they go out with their friends. They go out with like a group of friends, and their so-called quote unquote guy friends are there, right? And let's say if she's going out to the bar late and she's going out with a group of girls, and maybe the guy friend is there. And I don't trust the gay best friends either. I don't. I seen a video where a gay guy was confessing about how he was with his female best friend, and he was crushing her. He was getting it on with her. They were doing the do, right? And although he said he did it like maybe once or twice, and his boyfriend was suspicious, he was genuinely a homosexual, but he was having sex with her, right? So I don't trust that either. And I just, obviously I'm Muslim, so I have my own beliefs when it comes to the LGBT community. So that's not really something I want around, and I don't want someone to potentially, who's going to be my wife, having those people around somebody who can bear my children. It sends a lot of confusing thoughts, and it lets me know where her mindset is at. So I don't trust that either. But you have to mirror her energy. So mirroring her energy, what that's going to do is going to put her in the same position that you're in. So if you don't like her going out with guys alone, if you don't like her going out with a group of girls who are single and looking for free attention, so you do the same thing. And how do you do that? Well, when she goes out with her friends, you go out with your friends too. But what you do is, the key is, when you go out and she goes out, you make sure that you come back later. Even if she goes out and you didn't tell her. So let's say if she goes out one night and she's like, yeah, all right, babe, I'm going out with my friends. You don't get mad. You don't argue, because when you argue and you get mad, you put your relationship at risk. You're coming off insecure. She's probably already out there looking for free attention because there's something that you're doing wrong in your relationship, and you're not on the front of her mind, and she's not batshit crazy about you. So now you're already doing that wrong, right? So you don't want to argue, you don't want to complain, you don't want to show insecurities. You stay calm, cool, and relaxed, and keep your masculine frame as a man. And what you say is, okay, you go out, have a nice fun, have fun, baby, enjoy yourself. You need some money? Okay, cool. Let me know when you get back home. When she leaves, you go out with your friends. Or even if you go to your mom's house, even if you go out to your best friend's house, tell her you're out. Tell her you're out hanging out with tell her you're hanging out with a homegirl, or tell her you're hanging out with a group of friends, like, oh, my boys and my homegirl, right? Because girls will get mad. Even if there's one girl there, they'll get mad, right? So then when she gets back, she's going to call you, and she's going to realize that you're not there. And she's like, wait, where are you at? Oh, I'm out with my friends and my homegirl. Okay. Then you're like, when are you coming home? Then you make sure you purposely come home an hour after you know she got home, or maybe an hour or two. But then when you consistently do this, she's going to start complaining. She's going to think you're cheating. She's going to think you're doing all this stuff. She's going to make a whole bunch of assumptions. But what you don't do is you don't compromise on doing what she wants, because if she's already doing it, you're going to do the same thing that she's doing. If she's going out with her friends and doing this, you're going to do the same thing times two. If she's hanging out with a guy friend, you're going to go out with your girlfriend. But you're going to do it on a grander scale. So if she comes home at 10, you're gonna come home at 2 in the morning. Oh, what were you guys at? We was just at a bar and we were just sitting there talking. We was outside talking. It was nothing. She was like, well, I want you to stop hanging out with her. Well, I never told you to stop hanging out with your guy best friend. Then you got the bitch in a checkmate. And you will not compromise on hanging out with your girlfriend until she stops hanging out with her guy friend. But one of the things is you put yourself in a sticky situation because you still need to implement competition anxiety. So if it's a situation where you're hanging out late, you say, okay, well, I think it's a bit crazy how all of a sudden you hanging out with guy friends and now all of a sudden you want me to stop. So what I'll do is, okay, if I'll stop hanging out late with my girlfriend, my homegirl, if you stop hanging out with your so-called guy friend so late. You don't exactly want to give them up because long term you still need competition anxiety to keep her on her toes, to keep her on a check, and to have her emotions up and down. Now, and that's the second way to get rid of her guy best friend, right? And one of the main things that you want to do is just implement anxiety. You have to implement anxiety. Now, I put on Patreon 5 different forms of implementing anxiety. So when you implement these different forms of anxiety, what you'll be doing is you're keeping her on the front of your mind. Now, one thing, guys, to mention that's very important. When implementing anxiety, one thing you have to understand is after implementing that anxiety, you need highs. You need a good time. So you need to go out to eat with her, take out to eat, maybe make love to her, whatever it is that you do. You need highs and lows. And highs and lows are another key to keeping a girl long term. So just make sure, and you can come to this conclusion by implementing anxiety. But if you want to be cutthroat and absolutely get rid of her best friend, these are some things that you have to implement. Oh, and one more thing that I want to add, like a little golden nugget. So what time? Much more time? All right, I got 6 minutes. We can explain it fast. So one thing that I was talking to one of my clients, and his girl has a girl best friend who's always in her ear telling her negativity. And he's like, I know that's a thing. And he didn't even really ask for a solution for it. It's just something that I gave him. Now, this is manipulation at its finest, but, all game is manipulation, right? So one way to handle that nagging best friend who's in her ear is you want to give her a fictitious situation where you say, okay, hey, babe, I was talking to my friends today, and he was basically telling me how I shouldn't be with you, how you're like really insecure, you're always doing all this. And I told him, and you're going to be throwing your friend under the bus, but it's okay because he'll take that rap for you. You're going to be like, well, I told him, I was like, listen, at the end of the day, that's my girl. That's who I choose to be with. I love her. I know we go through our issues, but if you're my best friend, you need to just fucking accept that and stop giving me the negativity, because you're implanting all these negative seeds in my head. And you're really trying to like create a bad perception of my girl. And if you're truly my friend, you'll just accept the fact that I like her and just tell me things that support, right? Now, if she's cheating, that's one thing. You tell me that, but you need to support me. And you'll tell your girl that's what you told him. And you also tell them, listen, if you can't do that, then stop talking about me and my girl. You know what I'm saying? So now you're going to tell your girl, you said that to her, or something like that. And then once you tell her that and you say, I hate when they do that. Do you ever go through that? Your friends ever tell you stuff like that? Now, if she's open about it, she'll say, yeah, my friend does tell me this. We're like, yo, why can't she just mind her fucking business? We're together for us. This is like a us thing. We have a bond. And I don't care if the whole world wanted us not to be together. If it's meant to be, we're going to be together. And you shouldn't let them tell you, because you see what I did to my friend. I told him to either accept it or kick rocks. Now, obviously, it's manipulation at its finest. But that will get into her head, and she'll be like, well, you're right. And she should just accept us for who we are. And she's feeding us negativity. And that's one way to handle that one friend who's always in her ear giving her negativity, right? And there's different forms. There's different forms of that, right? And even if she has a group of friends who say that, or even parents, it even works with parents too. Because why you think girls run away? That's the whole story of Romeo and Juliet. They had 2 beefing families or some shit like that. Or was it Othello? Anyway, this shit happens all the time. it happens all the time where they have beefing families, they have all this shit that happens, and then next thing you know, they leave, they go against what everybody says, even when they say you shouldn't get back with this person, is toxic, and they always do it. So that's one good way to handle that. Now, and this is basically how to handle your girlfriend's guy best friends and how to get rid of them, and that's basically today's podcast. So I'm gonna end this off with Pavelli P, Pasha 2 times, Want Me. And that's basically, guys, that's basically my TED Talk. So if you're on Patreon, I'll take questions for about maybe 5 minutes. Maybe I won't because I got to get to the gym. Thank you. Thank you for the round of applause. Let's get into the song. We'll take questions after. Just tell me that you want me. You know that I listen. Just tell me that you need me. You know that I'm different. Just tell me that you got that. Just tell me what it feel like. I just want that ass fast. You know I'ma do right. Just tell me that you want me. I heard you got wild pussy drop and it trap. I heard you got locked for the box, it ain't stay. Can't you tell me that you need me? Thirsty for that Fiji.